Hey everybody, we're going to start this show like we're going to start every show, with a dram of whiskey from a Scottish distillery. Today is going to be Oban 14. Oban Distillery is right there on the west coast of Scotland. Oban's kind of the gateway to the Isles, to the Hebrides, one of my favorite places. But we're going to have a dram today, enjoy beautiful single malt, and start the show. Cheers. Welcome to the second episode of Frequently Asked Scottish Golf Questions. If this is your first time seeing the series, go ahead and check out the introductory video. It explains what this is, what I'm trying to do, who I am, and why you ought to listen to me. Why I'm not just some crazy guy making videos about Scotland. Long story short, I'm answering the frequently asked Scottish golf questions that I get via my website. And I'm not going to go into my expertise or anything like that, because I did that in the introductory video. But today's question is how to get a tee time on the St. Andrews Old Course. It's one of the things that's, I don't know how often I get this, multiple times a week, and I get variations of it, and I'll go into some of those, but it's such a confusing question and answer because there are lots of different answers. But I'll jump right in. I've got a reader's question here. And then I have outlined a couple points that I want to go over. The first is just a general thing. You can't play the Old Course if you have a higher than 24 handicap if you're a guy, and higher than, or a 36 or higher. Is there higher than 36? Either way, higher than 36 for women. And the starter's going to ask for your handicap card. So that's one you can't really get around. General point is I'm always getting asked, hey, are you still living in St. Andrews? Can you book me a tee time? Or, hey, do you know somebody in St. Andrews who can book me a tee time? Long story short, locals or members, even RNA members, can't just book a tee time on the Old Course. Everybody's subjected to the ballot, which is kind of the great equalizer, and we'll get into the ballot. Some people have better chances in the ballot than others due to their local club memberships, but for the most part, or for the entire part, nobody's going to book you a tee time. You can't call up and say, hey, it's Graylin, I need a tee time at 1 tomorrow. They would say, okay, have you entered the ballot? And then if I said no, they'd say, sorry, buddy, you're out of luck, and you have no better standing than anyone else. Everybody's equal in the eyes of the ballot. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the first method of getting a tee time now. The advanced tee times that are given out by the St. Andrews Links Trust are something that some people know about, some people are finding out about, and a lot of people are now entering. So every year, about late August, early September, the St. Andrews Links Trust opens up a portal on their website where you can enter to get a tee time for the next summer. So, right now it's 2016 and June. I would enter in August of 2016 for the next summer. And they hand out blocks of tee times throughout the day for groups. That's hands down the best way to get one. If you know you want to take a trip next summer, you ought to enter that ballot. See if you get it. If you do, use that tee time as an anchor for all of your other tee times on the trip. Once you have that anchor set, you can plan everything else. It's relaxed. You don't have to leave multiple days open for the ballot. You know that you're going to play. Some of the packages, depending on what time of year you play, are going to require you to also have a tee time at like the new course and or the Jubilee course. That ought to be viewed as a positive. I mean, you ought to be playing the new and Jubilee. They're excellent, underrated courses. The second method is probably the most commonly known and certainly the most feared. That's the daily ballot. There's a lot of confusion around the daily ballot. I will put a link in the description below for both the ballot page and also that advanced tee time ballot page that I just mentioned before this. Long story short, you enter the ballot, the daily ballot, 48 hours in advance. You can do that online or on the phone. You give the person on the phone or at the end of the email your information, how many in your group, your home club, your handicap, and when you'd like to play. Obviously, your best chances are to say, hey, yeah, anytime all day, but you could say, hey, we're flying out at 6 p.m. We need a tee time before 10 a.m. Yeah, that's going to limit your chances, but hey, well, why not? No harm, no foul, no deposits put down, nothing like that. So you enter before 2 p.m., 48 hours in advance. At that point, you then find out at 4 p.m. that day whether you got in. You'll be able to check a link on the website, and I'll even post that just so you can see, what it looks like. See if you know anybody over in St. Andrews this summer. But you find out, you can then plan accordingly. You have 2 days to get out there and play. It used to be 24 hours, now it's 48. So that's really nice. The chances to get in, depending on the season, can be pretty good or really not good. I should have said and didn't that you can't enter the daily ballot as a single golfer. So that means you have to enter as a twosome, threesome, or foursome. Certain blocks of tee times in the day are reserved for locals, so if you enter the ballot with a local, everyone is considered local in that group. So then you're eligible for those local tee times. That's an important thing. I said locals can't book you tee times, but if you do enter the ballot with a local, your chances are better. So that's just something to keep in mind. At the peak of the season, I suggest leaving a few days open in your itinerary for entering the ballot. It can be kind of iffy. July, August, it gets really busy in town. So I suggest going in, leaving a few days open to try. A lesser utilized option are the winter packages offered by the St. Andrews Links Trust. So in the shoulder seasons like October, late September, October, and March, April, and through the winter, some packages are offered by the St. Andrews Links Trust, and typically they're like 3 rounds of golf at the New, Old, and Jubilee for whatever the price is, 500 pounds, 600 pounds. And it's a guaranteed time. And that just shows you how the demand is so high in the summer and so low in the winter that they can sell these packages. The weather can be pretty iffy, and the days are shorter, and the temperature's colder. However, anybody who's ever lived in Scotland will tell you the weather can actually be really good through the winter. It's just hit or miss. It can also be really, really bad in the summer. There's no guaranteed weather in St. Andrews. If you don't necessarily have the budget to go at the height of season, these winter deals are awesome. Go in the winter, your accommodation is going to be cheaper, everything's easier, it's less busy, you get more of a local feel, but you risk some pretty cold, nasty temperatures. So, layer up and go for it. That leads me to kind of the third main option, and that is just going with a tour company. That would be like a Perry Golf or a Haversham & Baker or a Connoisseur Golf if you wanted a really high-end trip with a large budget. A lot of tour companies purchase at the beginning of the season a number of guaranteed old course times, and then they sell those on to you. St. Andrews Links Trust sells the old course time to basically a distributor called the Old Course Experience. The Old Course Experience then marks it up and sells it to the tour operator. The tour operator then marks it up and sells it to you. So, if you've got a big budget and all that matters is just playing the old course, you'll spend $1,000 on the tee time, then yeah, go for it. It's really nice to have that guaranteed time. But if you're working with a smaller budget, then the guaranteed old course times through the tour operators are not the most economical. That being said, a few local hotels and B&Bs also get guaranteed time. So if you book those early enough and you're going at the right time of year, some of the local hotels can get you tee times there. What I'll do is provide a few links in the description below to where you can see which hotels those are, or even which tour operators offer guaranteed times. But that's just something to keep in mind. If you've got the budget for it, it's a really nice luxury. Another option is one that's almost as equally known as the daily ballot. That's lining up as a single. If you're a single, what you have to do is line up at the starter's hut very early in the morning and wait for the starter to get there. At that point, the starter gets there and he begins to take names and he will take your name down and say, okay, Graylin, thanks, you were 10th in line. That means you can come back at 11:15, and we'll see if the 11:40 group will let you join them. They're a 3-ball, so you could slot in and be their 4th. Typically, no one's going to turn you down. No one's going to say, oh, yeah, sorry, no, we want to play as a twosome. If they do, they really haven't embodied the Scottish way of playing golf. But it's tough. You've got to line up really early. Some people line up as early as midnight and wait until the starter gets there at like 6:45. And it's cold, and sometimes it's raining and nasty. But there is a sort of camaraderie that's built through it. You're out there kind of shoulder to shoulder with guys. If you're single, then that's probably your best way of getting in. Chances are solely determined on how early you get there. If you got there at 10 p.m. for the next morning, you've got really good chances. If you get there at 6 a.m., you might be 30th in line and not get out. So you determine that. The final option is something that should really, really be your last line of defense. If you entered the ballot, you didn't get in, you lined up as a single, you didn't get in. I should also say if your group doesn't get in, you can just all line up as singles. The final last line of defense is something that might or might not work, and it's something that I never really see written about. Only the locals know about it, and that's called the dark times. Those are the tee times that are after the last tee times of the day. And they're reserved for locals, so that's why nobody knows about them. They aren't publicized. However, if you go to the starter at 1, 2, 3 p.m. in the afternoon and you say, hey, I've tried everything, I entered the ballot, I lined up as a single, I did everything I possibly could and I didn't get out, do you think I could get out on a dark time tonight? He might or might not say yes. The issue there is that it's a really late tee time, so you're going to pay full tilt, full asking price. You don't get a discount if you finish in the dark or you can't finish, which is common. If you tee off at 7 p.m. at the height of summer and the sun sets at 10, but you're back behind an entire group of tee times for the day, you might not get around, you might not finish. But if you're at the end of your trip, you've tried everything and you're at your wit's end, try a dark time. Talk to the starter. He might say no. He might say, hey, sorry, they're only reserved for locals. And if he says that, so be it. But this is kind of a little nugget of knowledge that I can pass on to you. But that wraps up everything. I'm going to add a lot of links to the description and make them very clear so that you know what you're looking at. I hope you like this first question in the frequently asked Scottish golf questions series. If you have a question that you'd like answered, either email me at the email address in the description below, or just leave a comment. Please like the video, subscribe. This is the first of many. I get tons and tons of emails from website readers, and I hope that everyone finds these useful. One last thing I'd like to say thank you to Holderness and Bourne. Check out that link in the description below and look out for the next episode. Thanks.